Between Heaven and Earth, an internet radio talk show where we help you connect spirit and divine guidance. Lisa Kay, your host, brings you shows that can enhance and transform your life with tips and new ideas for more happiness, abundance, and better relationships. Lisa is an expert on intuition and can show you how to strengthen your inner guidance to empower yourself. Each show is positive and uplifting to inspire your day. Her guest speakers are specialists on self-help, positive thinking, spirituality, and conscious living. Be the best that you can be with Between Heaven and Earth, conscious living for your soul.
And angel blessings to everyone. How are you all today on this beautiful April spring day in New York? We have the flowers blooming and the grass is greening. I think we are finally over winter. So we've got an exciting show today. I'm really excited about it. And I think I'm going to be playing the guinea pig with our guest to kind of give you an example of how this whole thing works. It's really exciting. Our show today is called The Ancient Wisdom of the Elements Transforms Celebrities' Lives. Now, Debra Silverman has long been a clinical psychologist and astrologer that celebrities turn to when things aren't going according to plan. And the reason is she knows how to help her clients identify, quote, the missing element in their lives. So celebrities like Sting and Madonna are just some of her clientele. And a key part of her work focuses on finding and learning about the most unloved parts of who we are and how to use that discovery to bring more freedom in our lives. She teaches how to cultivate and activate the observer within and become acquainted with the four elements as they exist within all of us. Debra illustrates these ideas through storytelling and real-life examples of people living out their elements in big ways. And, you might be really shocked and surprised about how these elements can describe you and who you are. I was shocked, actually. And some of the people that I read their element description to were also shocked. Let me tell you a little bit about Debra before I bring her on. Debra Silverman works on an individual basis as well as in workshops to impart emotional wisdom through a simplified language that describes the qualities of water, air, earth, and fire. She received an MA in clinical psychology from Antioch University and trained for mental health credentials at Harvard and York University. So I wanted to welcome you, Debra. Thanks so much for being on my show today.
You're so welcome.
This is so exciting, it's particularly because when I started reading your book, of course, the first thing I wanted to do was find out who I was. And I read what I think I am. And I was like blown away because everything that you had that described that personality of that element was so me. So, so it's almost like magic. So these elements, I know we've heard about elements, with the Chinese philosophy, but also, I guess, the Greek philosophy. Where did these elements that you talk about come from?
Well, it originated in so many different ancient systems because, of course, the four elements, we can't live without water, we can't live without air, we can't live without earth, and we can't live without fire. It's like the four essentials. Think about not having your breath. Think about not having food, earth. Think about not having the sun or your red heart blood beating, and think about not having water. So they're kind of the central piece of this universe. And unfortunately, we've lost the connection with the elders, with the old sciences of where was magic originally. So you could say all the way back to Egypt, like in the Egyptian system of astrology, which was apparently the oldest science on earth. It's all based on the four elements, and all the way up to the four noble truths of the Buddhist, or the four worlds of the Jews in ancient Judaism and the Kabbalah. Everything's based on water, air, earth, and fire. And I studied extensively in Hawaii. The Hawaiian system is also based on the four elements. So it's really, I don't think, and the American Indians, the four directions, you can't go anywhere into history.
It's interesting, though. The different philosophies are different, use different elements. Like, for example, the Chinese philosophy
They're the only ones.
Has they have metal.
That's the only one. Yes. So they have five, which is not a problem. The Chinese is the only system that has five. Every other system has four.
Ah, interesting.
Even the Vedic system is there. There's the four. I forget the Vedic system has four. So they have five, which is okay. There's water, air, earth, and fire, and they have wood. They have wood and they have metal.
Right.
And then they have air, water, and fire. So yeah, the systems continue to be the same all across the board. There's just an extra one for the Chinese, and I have found it immeasurably useful as a therapist in the name of psychology, because once I understand your personality type, it gives me a shortcut. Instead of trying to make you fit into a square peg when you're round, I can say, listen, why am I trying to make you normal, quote unquote, when you are uniquely you, which is what my book, The Missing Element, is all about.
Well, how about if we use, I'm willing to be the guinea pig on the air, so hopefully it won't be too revealing, but how would I go about finding out what my element is?
Well, so I happen to have your test in front of me, but did you take in the book, did you get to the personality test in the book?
Yes, I did. So you have a personality test in the book, which is, by the way, for our listeners, The Missing Element. And
on Amazon, it's at the Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, so go get the book. You can find out what you are. And so it seems to be personality characteristics from the list.
So,
is that right?
So there's two ways to go. So people don't believe in astrology, and I tend to be a skeptic myself, although after almost 40 almost 40 years, I'm a firm believer now, but I started off with total reticence. And so I don't necessarily have to endorse astrology, but the book has no astrology in it whatsoever. So basically, the book is saying there's 4 personality types. Take this test. It's on page 46 and figure out what yours is. And I will talk to yours directly, Lisa. But for all of you out there, there's 2 ways to go. One is using the personality test that's a current now version of what you're doing, what you're expressing now, and how you show up in the world. The chart, which is far more complicated, although I do teach online.
And that's your astrology chart.
Yeah? Yes. Okay. That's based on your birth date, time, and place. That's much more complicated. And I do have a school now that I'm teaching people how to be astrologers, and I'm teaching therapists how to use this information. But it's pretty complicated. I mean, I break it down to a 6th grade level. I tell everybody I'm a little slow, so I teach it like I'm a little slow and you're a little slow. I've made it very simple, but truthfully, you don't need your chart. So having said that, I have both in front of me, Lisa. I have your chart and I have the personality test. So you score in the personality test very low on fire, which means, and yet your rising sign, your soul, like if I was working with you as a client, you're not being, if this birth time is right, was this birth time off your birth certificate? Do you know?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So what it would suggest is that there's a part that's shy. There's a reticence on your part to show up with your boldness, that you'd rather not be, and, that loud, boisterous, because you are born on the day that the sun was actually between 2 signs. There's only one day a month where it's at 0 degrees, in which case the sun sign really does carry, in your case, fire and water. So you're a crossbreed.
Well, that's interesting. When you say, I'm reticent to speak out, and I'll have just to interject that when I was, I think, in 1st grade, on my report card, it said, wish she would speak up more. That she was too quiet. I was too quiet.
Well, because you are purposeful. Your conversation has to have meaning, and it has to be directed, and it has to have a spiritual content, or you're not going to talk. Yeah. So what's clear is in your chart, you actually have 2 missing elements. So in your chart, astrologically, you have no air in your chart. One planet, which is called a singleton. We call it.
Does that mean I don't have any air element qualities, or?
It means that you, like as a kid, you wouldn't have talked. That would be totally not surprising. When I worked in a school, I would have said to your teacher, look, she's got a really good concentration, and she's got a gift for creativity, and this girl's going to tell you stories when you get her to talk, but if you make her socialize, she'll be the reticent kid. She'll be more, behind.
Makes you very uncomfortable.
And shy. And her shyness is just a cover-up for a deep thinker. I mean, as an adult, it probably became very obvious that you were spiritually minded.
Yes, and that's why I do what I do, right? And in my spiritual work, that's now that I have the freedom to do whatever I want, I'm in the spiritual realm, but I also am a deep thinker because, and I love to study. I guess that's kind of the same thing. I love to learn. That's something that I feel is like a passion of mine.
Yep. So this is so fun for you to learn the elements. So so the truth is your chart suggests there's no air in your chart. Your life, based on being a radio interviewer and having a fascination with learning, you've cultivated air as kind of as behind the scenes. I bet you don't do that publicly. We're not going to take you to the party and drop you off in the middle of the room and say, "Go, Lisa." But
No.
but you can, if you were willing, if this chart birth time is right, which I'm a little curious about, because I think you were born a little bit later than 11:30, like maybe more like 11:45.
I think you're right. I was actually going back and forth between 11:30 and 11:45 because I because I couldn't exactly remember. So you know what? See, you're you may be right there, and I didn't
And
tell you that either because I think I put down 11:30 because I think that's what was on my birth certificate. I thought maybe I'm wrong.
so the point is, the chart gives us information, but ultimately, what you and I are speaking to is
Hmm.
how to, as a therapist, I'm going to look at your chart and hear your life story, and then say, listen, the chart tells me this lifetime that you came in with a very high quality for spirituality and purity and a work ethic, and it's less about social and external, it's more about internal. And then I would give you a permission slip. That's what my work is. I get to give people permission slips and go, look, Lisa, be you, because everyone else is taken.
I like that. Be you because everyone else is taken. So we're going to come up to break in about 45 seconds. But so we've got the chart, we've got the elements, and I'm looking at the book and I see the different elements here. And I actually, I self-identified with water, but then there were other things that I felt, were partly me as well. So can you have
Definitely.
definite other elements within yourself?
You can't live without any of them. So the goal of the game
Hmm.
is like four wheels in a car. You want all four balanced. That's the name of the game.
Even though one seems to be more predominant, is
Yep.
that it?
The goal is to really balance out the whole system.
Oh, okay. Well, in about a few seconds, we go to break. When we come back, maybe we'll talk about how we do that balancing.
Exactly.
All right. So hang in there with us. We'll be right back.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM radio network.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM radio network.
And welcome back. I'm Lisa Kay, and you're listening to Between Heaven and Earth. And I'm here with Debra Silverman, who is talking to us about the elements and her book, The Missing Element, and how these elements basically, I guess, describe major characteristics of our personality and how we can work with them to improve our lives. So I'm really fascinated with this. So I'm wondering, Deborah, now, I just want to read this for people so that they have an idea what an element would be for water. I think, we've identified that I seem to be more of a water person. So on your chart here is, I guess this is the self rating chart. Water says I cry easily, I'm sentimental, I become nonverbal when upset. So I would say I used to cry easily. I try not to anymore. I think I am very sentimental, yes. I do become nonverbal when I'm upset. My body gets immediate gut reactions to people. That, yes, I second guess myself. That's very true. My self-talk tends to be negative, and I think at times it used to be. So I had to work on that. I'm a private person, and I cherish private time. That's interesting. I do feel I am private, uh, and I think, but I also like to be with people. It goes back and forth. Hypersensitive. I'm very hypersensitive emotionally or physically. I think emotionally I can be very hypersensitive. I'm fascinated by the supernatural. Yes, very much so. And the 10th one is music is a necessity in my life. And I thought, my mother's a musician, and so I always had music around me, and I love music, and I find that I have to have music on when I'm working, or I always have some music going on in my head. But I thought that was more of my cultural upbringing. But I can see that it seems to be part of my element. So, so what do you take away from my going through that list?
So
And
you do have a very high score in water in your chart, particularly, which is an empath. They're the sensitives. They have psychic abilities. They have magical abilities. They have compassion. They want to cook and clean and fix for people. And they most of all want to make everyone comfortable. That's their real gift. Is you just feel so comfortable around water people. And you can tell by your voice, the softness. So the upside of water is gifted, creative, very compassionate, and healers. The downside is they can be wrecks. They get emotionally reactive and they want to be reclusive and they don't want to be around people because they're so sensitive. And at worst, they become addicted or negative prone to wanting to escape because it's so hard to be here when you're sensitive. This place is so dense and so loud. So it's the gift of water is, like you think Dalai Lama, he's my best example of double water, that he meditates for a living. And the downside of water is addictions and getting lost in the pain body, which, believe it or not, was Robin Williams.
really? Oh, so he was a water person?
He was all water, sun, moon, and right. But
You
see,
would
that's what
think
people.
that he would be a fire person.
Exactly. He had fire in his chart, but his water, his depression was what took him out.
Oh, so talk to me about that. How can you have
Because you have all of them.
both? Okay,
You can't live. Just keep thinking that. You can't live without any one of
right.
these.
So you have now. I thought that I had air in my personality, because I always thought that air was more of the thinking person, the one who likes to. Let's see. We'll go through this kind of quickly. What you had under air. Um, I find words easily, and others consider me talkative. Well, in the beginning, not now. I think I am. I enjoy watching people and asking questions. Definitely, I fill in or finish other people's sentences. Yes, when I'm happy and excited. So I observe and analyze people. So that's the first four of air, and I feel like I can identify with those. So
I don't think you fill in people's sentences.
no, you don't think so? Yeah,
I
well,
think
maybe not. I don't
I
know.
think you I think you listen. People
I
that talk.
do. Oh, okay. So maybe I got that wrong. Yeah, I do. I listen. I do listen.
Think about people that when you talk and they're just about to finish what you just said, and you're like, "Wait, I didn't. That wasn't what I meant." Or they start saying,
Oh,
"Oh, that reminds me of me," and you're like, "Hold on, I wasn't talking about you. It was about me."
Okay.
You
Got
don't
it.
do
Got
that.
it. Got it. Yes. Sometimes when I'm listening to somebody though, and I think I get them, then I'll finish what I think they're thinking because now I got you. But you're right. I don't generally um,
Jump in.
run over people
I just did a session this morning for a man, and he wrote me after the session. I got an email, and he said, because I kept saying to him, this is for air people, they talk so much. And in the middle of this, because he's paying me money to do a reading, in the middle of the session, I said, listen, you have to ask yourself this question. Why am I telling this story? Like, you're telling me stories that are irrelevant, and I bet we're going to end up nowhere. Like, I'm going to listen to you, we're going to turn left, we're going to turn right, and I'm going to not know what the question was. So he said, oh, that happens to me all the time. And I was like, right, because you're not asking this question. Why am I telling you this story? Who am I serving?
Yeah.
And that's, but you stay on task.
Yes, I do. And this is fascinating because my son is air. And and he sometimes, I guess part of the characteristic is like the monologue.
And
he's funny because he'll say things like, well, you wanted to know about that. And like, no, I think it was, he was showing me, I had asked about his friend and I said, well, he's from Seattle. Is that Washington? He says, oh no, that's Oregon. And then he goes, it's Oregon. And then he goes and he takes out the map and he shows me where Oregon is and he shows me the city and he shows me all the buildings there and and I like, okay,
all I
enough.
asked was
exactly. I just wanted to know which state it was in. And he says, no, well, you asked me. You told me you wanted to know.
So cute.
So that's very so air, right?
Think of a bird. It doesn't know where it's going. The wind is carrying it. It's that, the famous thing about the squirrel, like in the middle of, oh, look, there's a squirrel. And you're like, where are we going? So you don't have that problem.
No. Okay. So for those people who are air out there, let's go a little bit further with this.
Think airhead.
Airhead. Yeah. Well, okay. Yes.
They find themselves in multiple things at the same time. They forget where they put their keys. They're mad scientists. They love people, talking to people. They forget your name and they forget where they were going. That's excessive.
Easily distracted. Yes.
You got it.
So that's fascinating.
It's very different than you because water people are not like that. They're careful. They're so sensitive. They're so gentle.
So, okay. So we have all the different parts in all the elements within us.
That's the goal. My life's work is to encourage, like I would say to you, look, if you're missing air, if you're not socializing, if you're not getting out there, people that are listening to us who are lonely, who can't do relationship, or they can't do commitment, that's because they don't have air. So I say to them, listen, you have to go outside and go to, Starbucks and start talking to people you don't want to do. The element that's missing is the one you don't want to do.
And what happens when you don't have that element?
You don't have relationship. If let's say you don't have water, then you're not compassionate and you find that you can't cry and you feel yourself being cut off and your wife or your husband says, honey, you're so cut off. If you don't have air, they're saying, wow, you don't talk. Like water people, they excessively feel all the time. Everything hurts their feelings and you always know about it.
Wow.
Air people don't feel a thing. They're like cut off and detached and they're socializing and they have a fight and they just keep on going. You're like, come back.
Wow, that's fascinating. Because, if you go to an extreme, you could think, well, there's something wrong with that person.
Exactly. And that's what my book is about. Let's stop judging the personality type.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So that's illuminating, very illuminating. So, let's take those two. One of the questions I had was if say I'm water, and would it be bad to be with an air person if we're opposite? Is it like we're opposites?
I love how your Pisces mind. You've got Mercury in Pisces. How you think. You're always getting worried. There's no bad. Let's just start here. My whole book's about the observer.
Yeah.
And what the observer does is it turns on this camera and it looks over at you from a distance and it goes, oh look, there's your son. He gives so many details. Oh look, Lisa, she's so sensitive. She's going into her room. Oh look, there's an earth guy. He's cleaning up the house. He can't stop getting his vacuum out. Oh look, there's a fire person. They're so loud. You don't change them.
So what do you do?
And you just become aware of it and you figure out how you're going to fall in love with that person just the way they are.
Okay. So acceptance and understanding.
Compassion. The subtitle of my book is Compassion for the Human Condition. My favorite line is, we're all screwed up. Everybody came in with a strange package. And now how do I help you accept it and fall in love? Because it's not going away. All the therapy. I've been a therapist for almost 40 years.
Yeah. Did this help you?
Oh, my God.
How did it help you?
It just makes me, I'm like my kids and my partner and my mother and I have become so compassionate. Like when my father doesn't talk, Like, of course he doesn't talk. He has no air in his chart. So, do I wish he would communicate? Yes. Does he talk? No. And so you accept people.
Right. Was there a point in your life where there was when you were studying this, there was a big aha and
Yeah,
changed some relationships?
It's in the book. When I such a funny story. When I have a lot of fire in my chart, which I was very self-conscious about. Sometimes it's just that you don't want to be that part of yourself because you feel like, yeah. And I was like, well, I don't want to stand out. I really don't want to, but I do have a gift of the gab. So I had a therapist, and she was like, look, you're going to have to start getting comfortable with this part of you. So why don't you go to a party and just pretend that you're really comfortable, walk in, hold space, be the bold one, and stand up. And I was like, okay.
And you didn't want to do this. This is something.
God, totally unnatural. I thought it was totally unnatural. Then I did it and found out I'm really good at fire. And why was I all this? I was holding back parts of myself. And this is what happens in my school. It's like, I'm thinking of a woman that she started the course super earth, super grounded, very shy. Because there's only 10 people in each classroom. So it's very personal. And you use your chart to study. It comes on the screen and you look at the chart and you learn right off the chart. So she came in and we discovered, wait a minute. She had so much fire and she was presenting with this super grounded, kind of shy, a little bit inhibited. And as she started studying astrology, we were like, the cat's out of the bag. You are not shy. And then her real self started coming out. And now she's just laughing the loudest now. And she's teaching astrology and she's become this so fun.
Wow. So, so if we look at the elements that we need to boost up, then we can actually rejigger our lives. Would it take us to places that we want to go?
People lose weight. People get married. People find their partner. I have had endless
stories. It's like magic.
It's the elements are magic. It's what in the tarot deck. It's the magician on the card. The magician. He's sitting on his counter with water, air, earth, and fire. The tarot deck is all built around the 4 elements.
It's absolutely fascinating. Well, we're going to go to. This is awesome. I think it's so cool. We're going to go to another break, and we'll come back. I think we'll see if we can actually get through the other 2 elements for our listeners. So we'll be right back. Stay with us.
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Healing Light, on OMTimes Radio every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Healing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
Join Elliot Jollish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jollish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jollish Hour. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
And welcome back. I'm Lisa Kay, and you're listening to Between Heaven and Earth. And we are talking about heaven and earth, actually. Stars, astrology, elements. It's pretty fascinating to me. I really find this so cool, the way these philosophies actually come up in our lives, and it's just so accurate. Well, we're going to take a little bit of a break here and go over how you can connect with our guest and her work. We're going to do announcements, as I usually do, at the 30-minute mark, and let you know where you can reach me. You can get me at lmk88.com, and if you go there and sign up for my newsletter, you can get a free ebook on how to develop your intuition and get 16 intuition exercises for free you can do alone to get your intuition jump-started. And I've had people, lots of people sign up for this. They absolutely love it and just want more. And also, if you're thinking about starting your own holistic or spiritual business, I'm going to be opening up some free videos on how you can get yourself started. I wrote a book with Cindy Griffith called Grow Your Spiritual Business, and I've got some really great things to get you going. If you're thinking about one, you don't know where to begin, whether you should start one, I answer all those questions for you. And you can sign up for those free videos at howtostartyourspiritualbusiness.com. So that's pretty easy, howtostartyourspiritualbusiness.com. And if you'd like to connect with my guest, Debra Silverman, she's got some wonderful offerings out there. Her website is debrasilvermanastrology.com, and it's spelled, her first name is spelled Debra, silvermanastrology.com. And her book that we're talking about today, it's a wonderful book published by Findhorn Press. I recommend it highly. Go buy it. It's called The Missing Element: Inspiring Compassion for the Human Condition. It's once you start reading it and you connect with which element you are, you will not put it down. Trust me. And Debra's coming to New York. She's going to be in New York City at Namaste Books on May 12th. And Debra, do you want to give us any more information about that trip?
Yeah, it's so exciting. I love New York. It's 6 to 8 in the evening. It is, they're charging $25 at the door. I think that's so funny. But I am going to do it, have people take the personality test. We're actually going to make it more experiential, so it's personalized. And I will be in New York, but I am teaching and working the whole time. I'm going to be at the Omega Institute next year in New York, which I'm excited about, teaching there.
And where is that again? Repeat that.
That's in New York, the Omega Institute.
Oh, yes. Okay. So you're going to be up in, that's at Rhinebeck, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
But the thing that's most exciting is in September, I'm launching a astrology course. The last time we did it, which was 2 months ago, the response was so big that we didn't have enough room for all the people. So we've expanded it. Yeah, people are keen to learn. I teach astrology in if you've always loved astrology and you don't know what to do with it, I've made it very practical. And so people take a 6-week course. It's all online. You have a mentor that stays with you for the whole time, and you learn from studying your own chart. And then you get addicted. And then it becomes this wonderful community. We've got hundreds of people now that are looking at charts. And I teach it as I described earlier. I'm a little slow. So I make it really simple. And then the application becomes your exercise. And people are really finding what their life lesson is, where they're stuck, what element they've got to complement their life with. And as soon as you get these things, it's like a magical formula of activating where you're stuck.
Wow. So you could find out some of the things we're talking about that you're bringing up in my chart. People are going to learn how to read their own charts.
Exactly.
Wow, that's really cool. So what is the online course for people out there? Is it going to be like a live thing, or is it something where they can go and get it on demand? Or how
it's very cool. So there's 2 ways to do it. One is if you wait till September. Right now we just opened up the cart for a course that you can buy the package of the videos and you can do self-teaching. So you can just do it by yourself. So if you've already got a relationship with astrology or you don't have one ever, you just want to learn on your own timing because you can't figure out how to get the scheduling, then you do it. You write to apprenticeship at Debra Silverman Astrology, Debra. But the one in September, debrasilvermanastrology.com. The one in September, and we're launching that in August, is where you get one mentor who I've trained. There's 10 people in your class, And once a week for about an hour and a half, you get on the phone and you're on the computer, I should say, and everyone can see everybody. The faces are all there, and you can see the chart. So up comes the chart, and the teacher says, okay, so this class, we're going to learn about what your life lesson is. And then she teaches you where you look for it, and then you go around the circle, and everyone gets this engaging homework assignment to learn what to look for. And you become it's like piece by piece, you go through your chart, and by the end of the 6 weeks, you've really got a relationship with astrology.
Wow, that's not so. These are two separate things, where you could do the on-demand.
Yeah, you could do one on your own. The one on demand is just to stand apart by yourself. Get you for $500. They send you all the stuff that's the whole course. And the other one is you have a mentor that gives you private sessions, and you're working with the group, and it's much more of a personalized.
Now, do you learn the same material but just different ways?
You learn the same material, but you don't have a coach that's telling you, you're not learning in a group. And that's how, astrology, obviously, it's totally based on each person's chart. So super cool.
Which is really nice. Wow, great offering. So go to debrasilvermanastrology.com.
It's under Learn. On my website, it's just under the link called Learn.
Awesome. Okay, great. Well, let's continue our wonderful conversation about and give people a little bit of a taste of what they can learn from you. Let's talk a little bit about the element Earth. So what are Earth people like?
So Earth people are super grounded. They're like the most practical. It's like today, in the heavens today, there's a whole bunch of Earth. Money, numbers, accounting, cleaning supplies, closets all in space, lists, making little labels, keeping things all in its place, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, money, all that stuff that people love who are Earth people. And they're a little bit control freaks. Like if you put the dishes in the dishwasher the wrong way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you actually have this.
I have I have Earth in it, but it's interesting because my husband does that. He has to do the dishes because if it's got to go in exactly the right way, and we figured he was Earth. That was so right on. Sorry.
You got it. No, you nailed it. And that's what happens. It's just why you're so excited.
It makes me crazy because it's like, well, does it really matter which way that plate goes in?
But see, and that's the gift of compassion, because you don't understand. Like for you, if we said to you, honey, turn off your feelings and don't care about that, little person there being sad or that, you'd be like, ow, I'm not going to walk over that. And if we said to him, don't care about the dishes, no, this is, so we become understanding of all the different personality types.
Mm-hmm. Now, you said I have Earth in me and as well?
Yeah, you've got quite a bit of Earth. You're practical. You've got a grounded chart. You're someone who really values.
I could use being a little more organized. I love being organized, but then sometimes I get...
It's your life lesson. See, that's what you came to learn this life.
So then my life is a bit of I have a conflict there. It's like it's not organized enough. So that's interesting. So... Earth people they prefer to be in control, goal-oriented, get results. People can rely on me. Well, I identify with those most definitely. Practical and grounded. I clean when I'm upset. That's interesting. I do. I also clean to distract myself. I find that.
Yes.
So what could I take away with? All right, I've got water and Earth. Those are the big ones for me.
But your life lesson is Earth. You need structure. You need ritual and routine. You've got to be very practical. Otherwise, you fall off the planet. You're a little dreamy thing.
Oh, so what do you mean by a life lesson?
That's Saturn in astrology. That's what I was saying in the class. Mm-hmm. You really get to isolate. What is my life? Everybody asks this question. What am I doing here?
Yeah, that's my question.
What are you doing here?
Am I here to learn that lesson?
No, you're such a Pisces. Your Mercury you're so funny. I love how you're slightly worried all the time that you're kind of
curious. I think I'm curious.
You're curious, but it goes between curious and sort of kind of a little worried,
Because I want to be, I think, I guess in my mind, I'm thinking I'm trying to solve a problem. So, so I got to find the problem to solve it is what you're saying, I suppose.
Exactly. That's Earth. They love when something's
everything's
broken.
good, right?
Yes.
So what do I do with that? Nothing?
You're just making me laugh. Of course, there's answers to every one of your questions. Earth people have to appreciate that they like to organize and structure. You need to activate this part in a more direct way, which I bet your husband's good at. Activate the organization structure, keeping things solid, and feeling good about it, even though it takes time and it's slow.
Yes.
You are someone in your chart, you've got a real gift for loyalty, responsibility, saying what you mean, meaning what you say, doing it on time. And that's one of your strengths, is really wanting to be the person that's accountable, that people can count on.
Exactly. And actually, that's one of the reasons why I'm very careful about committing to anything. If I volunteer for something, I have to make sure that it's something I really want to do, and that I'm going to, because I know I'll stick to it, and I will do it, forever.
Because that's why I really want you to come to the book signing.
I'm going to go. I got to go. I have to meet you.
That's so sweet. See, that's the thing about your chart. When you say it, you mean it. And that's Earth.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do, the thing is, everything in this life works. We just don't realize how well we're doing. We have a lot of criticism going on all the time. And the art of this lifetime is to find the compassion to go, listen, you guys, that's what I feel like I'm the quintessential mother. And I'm always saying to people, honestly, you're doing so much better than you know, but we have such a critic.
Mm-hmm. Where do you think that comes from?
It's just the program of the human brain. I have a good friend, you probably know, Jill Bolte Taylor, who did the Stroke of Insight. And she talks a lot about the two sides of the brain. And we have, just like, the Republicans and the Democrats and the two sides of the brain, and men and women and night and day, we polarize. And so instead of living in the middle land where we give blessings to both sides, like, yes, one side's crazy and the other side's crazy.
Oh, yeah. And this is the perfect time to talk about that, too. And we seem to enjoy that. It seems to be part of our nature that we have to pick a side. And, I don't know that we have to pick a side.
Well, we have to pick a side inside our own hearts and know what our truths are. We just don't have to judge the other people who have the other side, because that's where
exactly.
That's where it's all tangled up. So I'm having so much fun watching this election as a psychologist. I'm just like thoroughly entertaining myself.
I think it's quite fascinating myself as well. And I like to not take any side. And I'm a student, right? I'm the thinker. I like to analyze people, and what is, it's like human nature. That's the way things are. We're going to go to another break, and when we come back, we'll go over the last element, fire. Stay with us.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
And welcome back. You're listening to Between Heaven and Earth, Conscious Living for Your Soul. And I'm Lisa Kay, your host, and we're talking about the missing elements, the 4 elements that come from, I guess, the philosophy of astrology. And Debra Silverman's our guest, and she is the expert. And this is so much fun. I'm having a blast. And I'm thinking about all these people and what element they are. We went through 3 of the 4 elements, and I wanted to get to fire. And what are fire people like?
That's the one you're missing. Don't you dare leave out fire. Okay.
Maybe that's why I made it last. What do you think that says?
It's so funny. Well, it is really last, because if you think about it, water, you spend 9 months in water.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first element. Air is your first breath. We all take a breath to enter here, and we spend the next 18 years in school studying air, the mind, ever since you're little. And then earth, we get at 18 to 22, you leave high school or college, and you begin to do money for the next 30 years, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then the end of our lives is fire, where we get to celebrate and be grown-ups and find the fruits of our labor. So fire is the party animal. Like, oh my God, they're loud and they're joyful and they're exuberant and athletic and pushy and New Yorkers. I always think of New Yorkers as fireside. They're entertainers, and they're athletes and show-offs, and they tend to be like on stage, and they're really loud. And as politicians, I love how all these politicians right now are screaming. They don't talk so loud, but that's very fire. Like, you want to go, where is the volume?
Let's turn it down.
So fire people, they don't have a volume. Fire is either hot or it's hot.
Most politicians are fire?
Well, the ones that go running for president.
Yeah, I would think so. You would need a lot of that element to go out.
Obama's a fire sign. Yeah, you have to have. Who wants to stand in front of all those people and get hated the minute you walk into office, because the other half of the politicians hate you because you got the wrong policy?
So then you have to be fire and air, I would think, right? Because then you're really not really paying. Well, no, I guess you have to pay attention to other people, or do you not if you're a politician?
Well, think about a good politician doesn't really care what you think.
Right. So, okay. There you go. Exactly. Or you just want to convince you that they do.
Right. And they're doing their best to manipulate everything so they can get their way. So fire people at their worst are very manipulative and powerful. At their best, they're inspirational, and they care more about them, not just them, but the collective, and they're looking outside of themselves. But fire people by nature, they eat too much, they party too hard, they spend too much. They just don't have an off button, because fire is either hot or it's hot. There's no in between.
I love your sense of humor, and the book is written like that. It's just so entertaining. So you're either hot or hot. Think about fire people. They don't have a medium. So these are the kids that can't, like, I taught in a school. I had such a great time teaching in a school in Vancouver, and I had little water kids all sitting in a little group together, and they were so quiet, and the air kids kept interrupting. Excuse me, what did you think about, there's like your son, like, oh, you said, yeah, here's Denver, here's Oregon, here's like, oh my God. Raise your hand.
Right, you have to tell them to raise. And then the earth kids are like, everybody raise their hand, and they're sharpening their pencils. And then the fire kids are like, is it recess? Is it recess? I want to go out and play. I'm sick of this. Right. And you saw the kids, and the teachers loved it, because when you understand, you can't argue with destiny or fate. Like, good luck with that. Like, you can't tell somebody who's loud and excited to calm down. Right. If someone's pissed off and you say, stop being angry, they just get angrier.
Right. So now we're talking about, now we've gone through all the elements, and everybody's got all of that.
You gave 3 seconds to fire.
We could talk more about fire, but no, I want to talk more about fire, because I want to talk about how, so that's an element that I need, because I don't have it, right? I lack it. And so what are the things about fire that I should pay attention to?
So I would encourage, if I was, working with you, I would be working very directly to say, okay, here's the deal. You're going to have to learn how to turn the music up, sing loud, go outside, be bold. I would really encourage you to stand up, like the woman did to me. Where at the beginning of the book, you hear where my fire got strengthened, and I had to somebody help me learn how to do that.
Well, okay, so let's take that as an example, because I obviously identify with it. So I don't like to get up and dance. So Sonia Choquette is a fire person. And if you go to her talks or her classes and so on, one of the things she does is she makes you get up and dance. I hate that. So should I force myself to do that?
Well, it depends. If you're giving, this is where it's all about free will. There's no right or wrong. There's no should in my land, on the planet I'm from. The question you're asking is, if you're in the process where in your life, in your life, that what you need to do is to turn up the energy and let yourself start.
I see.
then you want to you want to say to yourself, come on, Lisa, I'm not letting you sit here. But if you're in a phase where you're like, you know what, I am so about letting myself be comfortable. Mm-hmm. No one's telling me what to do, then you don't do it.
So you have to recognize,
where am I in my life? And what am I learning?
When I need to pull that element, bring more of that element in to help me.
Exactly.
Ah, interesting. Oh, let's see. I'm looking at the other things in fire here. I inspire others to take action. Actually, I think one of the things I noticed, what I think is the fire characteristic that I lack is I'll have an impulse to speak up, say something, go do something, or just get up and move, and I'll wait a while. Right? You wait. Yep. Is it really the right time now? Let me just see. Let me mull over this a little bit, right?
Yes.
So there's a good example. Yeah?
That's you doing water. So you take your fire and you put it into water.
Yeah, right. So that it feels comfortable. So in that case, would it be my pulling out that fire would be taking the chance of like, all right, just go for it. Just do it. Moving on the impulse.
It's a decision. You're giving me your power. What I, as a counselor, my job is to say, I want to hear what's in your life right now. Like if I was working with you, let's say in your life right now, you were really feeling like you wanted an internal world and you wanted permission to be in your calm and to be in your water and not make any excuses. I'd say to you, do not push. But if you were saying to me, I'm starting a business and I'm entering into a phase where I want to grow my list, my mailing list. And I'd say, well, honey, turn your fire up because nobody's noticing you. So it's really up to you in the phases of your life and what you want to do.
Well, that's a good example. So how would I turn it up then? All right. Yes. Let's
put on some music, go for a workout. You're going to go do hot yoga. You're going to go take an acting class or a speaking class. You're going to go to a party and you're going to be bold and you're going to actively choose to turn your fire up. You're going to make yourself go for a run.
So so it's not specifically for, like you gave the example, if I wanted to get my business started and I wanted to get, more people on my list and so on. It's not that I take the fire elements or the characteristics and put it in those things. It's just more general in my life.
Exactly. Yeah.
Really?
It's as simple as that. It's a question mark. And this is what I ask everybody. Like, are you happy with your life? To be really honest, I love my work because I get to be super blunt. And I can say this, I just said to someone the other day working with her, you are so codependent and you've so lost your boundaries. You have got to step away from error and your talk, speak quiet and go do your internal work and find out what's really bugging you because you're avoiding something. Or I might have said that, it depends on the people and the personality, but everybody's different. Welcome to astrology.
Yeah, everybody's different. It's interesting. Well, you have some wonderful stories, I know, in the book about how this method has helped them. Do you have one that you like to share?
My favorite story is the New York story, because I'm coming to New York, is the fireman who spent 25 years in New York City as a fireman. That was the chief inside the house that was right next to the World Trade Center. Wow. On September 9th, 2001, he retired. On September 11th, he flew out of New York City, looked out the window, and saw the World Trade Center on fire. The plane landed in Ohio. He got in the car, drove home, and everyone was dead, including the man that took his job the day before.
Oh, no. So he drove all the way back from Ohio to New York.
Just to find out that everybody was gone. And then his job was to forgive the men that killed all his friends. He had to go it's the water story. It's the chapter of water that he was, it's funny that he's a fireman for the chapter of water.
So he's a water person.
He's a water sign. Uh-huh.
Wow.
And it was really hard. He could only imagine, why did I retire on September 9th?
Oh, so that compassion, the empathy.
And then he became a yoga instructor. He was going to retire, but he changed not to. And so what I got to do with him in my work with him as an astrologer was say, listen, here's your personality. You think he thought of himself as this outgoing guy that was all about this, because he was a fireman for all those years in New York City, but he took a deep dive into his internal world and became very rich spiritually, and he had literally, you can only imagine the transformation I got to watch, and now it's so beautiful. Now I love this guy. I wish he was in New York during my book signing because I'd love for everybody to meet him. He did. Oh, is that right? Diane Sawyer called him for the story, and he only gave me the story. No one's ever gotten that story before.
Oh, wow! And so his life went from I guess being a fireman, you have to have some fire in you, right? I guess to have the bravery to go out and
Yes. You can't live without, remember this, Lisa.
Yeah, you need all the pieces.
You can't live without any one of the elements. And yes, he had fire in him, but he was predominantly water and didn't know it. And this experience of death and this experience of trauma opened up his heart, opened up his soul. The next thing he knew, he became a yoga instructor and started learning meditation. His whole life changed. Wow. And he's still doing it, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Teaching yoga and
all over the world.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
That's the first chapter of the book.
Yes. And, once you pick, like I said, once you pick it up, you're going to keep going, and then you're going to want to know what all your friends are and your family, and like maybe this is them. And
Lisa, you should come take the astrology class. It's the fun. It is so, to take it. It's addicting. I feel bad.
I could see that. Part of it is, just like you were saying, when I started to learn about astrology, it was very confusing, but I think you break it down in a way that's easy to
I speak English.
Yeah. And, and you make it so simple. We're actually at the end of our show. I'm so glad you came. It was like fascinating.
It's because you're fascinating.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you very much. But, all these, the elements and, how we can help ourselves, knowing more about it. So The Missing Element, Inspiring Compassion for the Human Condition by Debra Silverman. And you can get Debra, what's your website again?
DebraSilvermanAstrology.com.
And so go to her website, sign up, learn about your elements, learn about astrology.
And every day on Facebook, I have a different video telling you where the planets are, so you can always get the forecast.
Oh, yeah. I saw a couple of your videos. They're great.
Yep.
Thanks for being here. Come back.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much. Anytime.
All right. Thanks. You've been listening to Between Heaven and Earth, Conscious Living for Your Soul. We're right here every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Angel blessings to everyone. Thanks for listening. Bye.